Hey, how's it going, guys? So in this video, I'm going to be talking about the pros and cons of using cash on a vacation. Let's do it. All right, so last week, my wife and I got the opportunity to go on a friendship trip to Georgia where we rented out a cabin and just were there hanging out for a couple of days, and it was a great time. I love the woods, so just being able to just like unplug, be in nature was definitely something I really enjoyed. And then just being able to be with my friends as well, just completely disconnected and just with them was dope. So with that being said, we were on a tight budget moving into the trip. So we wanted to try to stay as budget focused as possible while not worrying too much about the finances. So we decided to use cash on the trip and just try to make it work with the amount of money that we had. So let's go over the pros and the cons, but let's do the cons first. All right, so the cons of using cash only on a trip, specifically for a friendship trip, is one, it is a little awkward. So people are gonna notice right off the bat that you're using cash to pay for things, and it's gonna feel a little awkward at first, but that's just like a con, that awkwardness, but people tend to kind of get over it real quick. So that's one con. So if you're looking to use cash only on a trip, specifically for a trip with your friends, just know that they're going to be like a little confused as to why you're using cash instead of just a card. So I just want to give you that heads up right off the bat. All right, so con number two is it is going to be inconvenient when you pay. You got to give them cash. They do the whole thing. They give you cash, they give you all these coins. So just know that it will be a little inconvenient, specifically when you're paying for things. So just make sure you're aware of that. It's gonna be awkward. You're gonna have all these coins and it's just a little weird, but it is what it is. And third con is sometimes there's gonna be things that go a little over your budget and you don't have enough cash to cover it, so you might need to use your card. So specifically, we had this happen to us at one restaurant. We were already kind of like low on funds for the trip. And we didn't have enough actual cash to pay for the thing. So we had to unfortunately use our card, but that's okay. It was the only time we had to use our card. Everything else we paid in cash. So we only really went over our budget by $15, which is pretty good in my opinion. So it worked out. So now that we got the cons out of the way, let me kind of talk about the pros. All right, so first pro that I want to mention is it does give you the ability to get out of awkward situations if they arise. I know that was a con, but it also is a pro. So specifically, there was a restaurant that we went to where the waiter or / waitress, I don't want to say either one, but they weren't the most hospitable. They were a little rude, just to be honest. I don't like talking negative about people, but they were a little rude. So we came to pay, and it was kind of nice for us. Since we were paying with cash, we didn't have to deal with the whole, they give us the card, we sign the thing, they give it back, and then we get the card back after they ring it up, all that stuff. We didn't have to have that extra interaction with them. We just gave them the cash and then we moved on. So we were able to just put it in the tip that we felt they deserved, and based off of their service. And we didn't have to talk to them again. They went around the table twice with everyone else. With us, they only gave us the check, and then we paid them the money, and then we didn't have to talk to them again. Not having to deal with that awkward situation by using the cash and just moving on to the next part of the trip was pretty dope. So I feel like that was cool. So that's a pro. So the second pro that I want to talk about by using cash on a trip, specifically a friendship trip, is it does allow you really quickly to see how much money you have. So every time you're buying something or paying for something, you're able to see right away how much money you have left. All you gotta do is count it real quick. You don't have to like pull up your phone, you don't have to do all this extra math, because in my mind, I don't really remember off the top of my head where my transactions come from, and sometimes they pend, which means like they don't come out of my bank right away. Like it does show up and I have to add it up if I wanted to, but I'm pretty lazy, honestly. I really just want to be able to see right away like where I'm at. So by being able to see real quickly how much cash we just have in my pocket, I'm like, all right, this is how much we have left over. We got to work with this. That was a big pro that allowed us to really be like, all right, let's step it back a little bit. Towards the end of the trip, at the beginning, we're like, all right, let's go, let's do it. What you got to pay for? We buy like groceries and stuff. We're like, all right, let's just make it happen. So it allows you throughout your time to kind of see where you're at, and it helps you kind of like decide, all right, do we want to spend this much money on this, or let's scale it back and you're chilling throughout the trip because you're just seeing it go as you go, and that's fine. That's what it's there for. All right, and then the third pro that I want to kind of share is that it does allow you that sense of peace, that knowing that all the bills that are already automatic are not going to be affected by this cash that you're using. So this cash kind of for me I see it as a buffer. So I know that a rent was coming up. I knew that there was a couple bills that come at the beginning of the month since the trip happened towards the end of October. So I already knew in my head that this cash that we were using wasn't going to be affected by the actual money that was in our bank account. So that was kind of nice. We didn't have to really worry too much on like, all right, once we're done with this trip, are we going to be able to pay all this other stuff? We didn't have to worry about that too much because it was already kind of like taken out of the equation and it wasn't affecting the actual numbers that were in our bank. So we could spend without having to worry. And for me, that's great because it helps me sleep at night not having to worry about money. And honestly, that's kind of what I want from you guys too. I want to equip you guys with the skills to be able to master your money so that way it doesn't keep you up at night, because I've been there before. Sometimes I'm still there sometimes, and it's not the best moment to be in, and it's kind of tough sometimes. But by being able to put yourself in control of your money, you're able to kind of maneuver it in a better way. I don't know what that move was, but yeah, you're able to just maneuver, I guess, driving. I don't know. So yeah, so there you have it. Those are the pros and cons of using cash on a trip, specifically a friendship trip. If you haven't used cash before and you are interested in trying to do so, I would definitely recommend it. I know it's kind of a bit of a hassle going to a bank, taking money out. That's my dog moving over here. But it's definitely worth it. Like I said, we already have a little bit of cash already as a buffer somewhere hidden in our house. Don't come to my house, don't steal my money, please. But yeah, it's just something to have, nice to have, especially since we're kind of like, I know they're talking a lot about in the news, like this recession coming up and stuff. You want to just kind of make sure you just have as much buffer as possible, because the worst thing that can happen, well, not the worst thing, but something that you don't want to happen is having to like pull out of like your investments or take out from your savings that may not necessarily need to happen. Well, that's one thing that we didn't have was buffer at the beginning of our life, and we had to sell our stocks, we had to sell a bunch of stuff just to be able to afford rent. And learning from that experience, I'm like, all right, I never wanted to have to do that again, because I saw all the like after the fact, oh, we could have really made a decent amount of money if we didn't do that. So let's figure out a way to create buffer, and this kind of has helped us in the long run. So I hope you took away some notes from being able to use cash on a vacation like this. In the comments below, let me know what your thoughts are. Do you think it's worth using cash? Do you have another system where you're able to do it just using your card? I'd love to hear from you. Let's have a conversation. All right, guys, so that's it for this video. Once again, my name is Roberto Guido, and I look forward to seeing you guys in the next video. Peace.